Hi, Sol Brah. Welcome
Hello,
to the Peace,
Maddie.
Love, Hormones podcast.
Thank you.
Excited to
I
have
really
you.
appreciate it being outside.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to set up, but
This is my first time doing an outdoor podcast, so for anyone watching / listening, let me know how you like it, and maybe we'll do this more, because we're just in the comfort of my own home right now, PLH headquarters. Well, I'm super excited to chat with you today. I've only had one other male on my podcast before in the history of the Peace, Love, Hormones podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Today's
because
special
we're
occasion.
all about women's health and women's hormone and fertility health specifically. So I get questions all the time, though, from women asking on behalf of men in their life, usually a husband, boyfriend, or brother even.
Yep.
Just like, how can men do what we're doing? Because obviously it's different. So
Yeah.
I've really been wanting another guy to come on and to talk about that and to talk about his health journey, to give some inspiration. Because especially for like the younger generation, I've found that there's this struggle, right? That a lot of people have, this internal struggle of like, I don't know how to actually start any of this, right? And how to actually make these changes. And I see that it's easier typically for women to start making these changes, because usually we hit this point where we're struggling with our health so much. It's the only option. But I've seen with a lot of men, I mean, it's different since I've moved to Austin, because I feel like people are very into their health here. But I've only lived in Austin for 4 years of my life, and I've lived all over the world since before that. And I've just seen this common theme with men not really taking charge of their health.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's like major gym bro, just kind of like hitting Gold's Gym. Yeah. And like macros. So it was really refreshing. It was actually Braxton, my boyfriend, that introduced me to your page. And I think it was about a year or so ago. And he was like, I think I found the male version of you. And so I was like, who is this? So anyway, that's how I was introduced to your work. And really excited to have you on the podcast to talk about all things health and wellness, but especially about men.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's part of my life's work to do that specifically for men, but also for women as well. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
We're all humans at the end of the day. For men, as you said, that can be viewed as a little bit lame or weak to care for yourself, and it shouldn't be, because the healthiest version of yourself that you can bring to your life means that you have higher energy to take care of the ones that you have a responsibility for and show up for. So it's really, it's nothing selfish. It should be a focus of yours, because if you don't have your health, you can't be the breadwinner of your family. These traditional masculine roles that we want to fulfill for our friends and family and loved ones, that really without health we cannot do. So
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that, because I think the common narrative is that women are like the only ones that really struggle with our health, and that women are the one who are hormonal. Like, that's like a very common stereotype. You even see it in like television, right? Just like all across society.
yeah.
And
Emotional.
men have hormones too, you know? And like, when men aren't in balance, when men aren't taking care of themselves, that also shows itself in every area of their life, especially in a relationship. So it's this delicate dance, you know? So it's not just the women. And we typically are the ones going more in to see like the doctor, even like in the holistic realm, which is why it may seem like we're more sick. But I just think society as a whole, of all ages, are really struggling with their health.
Yeah, so the hormones thing, a lot of guys that don't have that centered presence, they have estrogen dominance. And that's not to say that, estrogen is bad,
Right.
whatever. It's just out of whack. And if you're overly emotional as a guy, it's because your estrogen is too high, testosterone is too low. There's a whole bunch of other cofactors and things that go on. But even just your life force and like your drive to succeed, and you think you don't have willpower, but it's actually your thyroid isn't optimally functioning, or your gut microbiome is out of whack. And as we know, that creates the dopamine that makes us feel good about the tasks that we complete, or gives us the motivation to do things. So it's like that. Your life may be downstream of your biology, and you may think, oh, I'm a loser, I'm not doing these things, why do I feel like I can't complete these tasks that I should as a man? Well, it's because you're not taking care of your health. And if you take care of your health as the first piece of the puzzle, then I find that everything else kind of flows naturally after that.
So what was your health story? Did you have I ask because I've met more people than not who've found their way into this space that they've struggled with their health at some point in their life. So what was your health story? What did that look like?
Yeah,
Or were you
luckily,
just born into like all of this?
well, luckily I didn't have any major catastrophic events that really led me to this path, but it has been. I definitely did not have the level of energy, muscle mass, low body fat, drive, energy that I have today a few years ago. Even though I would have a few years ago been like, yeah, I'm healthy. I have, energy to do things. But so my story is more so of like a slow optimization of things as I got further down the rabbit hole and understanding more nuance between what I thought was healthy years ago, the chicken breast, rice, and broccoli diet, versus now I'm having like raw egg yolks, raw meat, mineralizing everything, and all the rest of it. So my story is more so looking to optimize myself and get the highest level of performance and experimenting, and then sharing whatever has come out of that.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I can relate to you on there are so many, I like look back on my life and there's so many different phases where I really thought I was healthy and I was in ways, but it's
Relatively.
just like this, like constant evolution. And I'm sure I'll probably look back on myself in like a year or two from now and be like,
Yep.
yeah, I was doing really great things then, but I feel even more imbalanced now in just various different ways. So that's the cool thing about health is we're constantly improving. So if you had a list of, however many you want, like 5 to 10 things that you believe really were like pivotal when it came to revolutionizing your health and optimizing it, what would those be?
Right. So first and foremost, as is my namesake, Sol, getting more sunlight. That has to be probably the most important one that is so lacking today. Is that most people aren't spending time outside, and if they are spending time outside, they're covering themselves in clothing, and even worse, putting sunscreen on. Stop taking sunscreen. That's another thing. So getting outside in the sun with your shirt off, ideally with your pants off as well. I know that our world doesn't really facilitate that for us, but
especially if you're living like downtown New York.
yeah. Although I've gotten away with that on some rooftops when I was living in New York. There's always, where there's a will, there's a way for these things.
Absolutely, yeah.
But however you can, get as much sunlight on as much of the body as possible, because that is going to, 1, make you beautiful and tan, 2, vitamin D levels, 3, testosterone. All the hormones that we know and love are downstream of the sunlight energy that you're going to be receiving. Vitamin D is produced locally in cells. It's also circulated throughout the body. But if your body is never getting sunlight on your legs, then your legs are going to be relatively lacking in vitamin D and all the other things that sunlight... Vitamin D is like a tiny cross-section of what sunlight does for us. Not to mention that sunlight also goes through your skin and into your internal organs. So if you've never sunned your stomach in a long time, maybe it's cold, so months and months and months without sunlight, your internal organs, they're in the dark, and this is prevalent for women as well, like your ovaries, your uterus, like all of that turn over, get through the back as well, like that sunlight energy is permeating through you. And as it has beautiful effects on our external skin, it also has amazing effects on our internals. So sunlight.
Whenever my stomach is hurting, I'll just say this, whenever I'm having like a stomach ache for whatever reason, if it's sunny and, I'm somewhere where I'm able to do this, I get outside and I just like sun my stomach, and it really does help.
Yeah.
Easy,
feels good.
Little fix. Feels great.
Blood flow.
Yeah, supports circadian rhythm and blood glucose and insulin sensitivity. Just like so many benefits. And are you a fan? I'm guessing you are. In fact, I know you are. But just to clarify, like especially getting that sunlight upon waking.
Yeah. It's the first thing I do.
Yeah.
Sunrise and sunset. Arguably the more important times. If you can I know everyone has busy schedules and 9-to-5s and things. But if you can make a slot of time where you're going to get direct sunlight, sunrise and sunset are top of that list.
Yeah.
And then also some level of exposure during high UV. So the high UV being important for a bunch of other things, the sunrise and sunset. You want to maximize it, of course, if you have the ability to go outside with your shirt off and things. I used to take my lunch breaks. I would eat at my desk, and then I would take my lunch breaks off with my shirt and just walk around.
Amazing.
And so that's one way to fit it into your 9 to 5 schedule. But that would be top of the list for this health improvement thing. 2 would be, I would say, sleep. If you're not sleeping properly, then you're going to be hamstringing yourself. Your testosterone is going to be lower. You're going to be crankier, moodier, not have as much energy to pursue your goals. And it's viewed again as a masculine kind of perspective. We think, oh, my health doesn't matter. My sleep doesn't matter. I can ignore my sleep and just power through it. And it's good to have that skill. If you don't want to be like, oh, I only got 6 hours last night. I'm going to, slack off, whatever. No. But in general, your routine should be one that you are committing to your discipline of going to bed early. And it's not hard. It's not like this, oh, I want to watch Netflix for another hour. It's like, just cut that stuff out. Yeah. Because the ramifications of getting good sleep and you going to bed at 9:30, 10 instead of 11:30 is infinitely better.
For sure. Yeah.
So maximizing your sleep. I have a bunch of sleep tips on my page and things that we don't need to go into.
What time do you get into bed at? What's the average?
On a good day, it would be 9:30.
Nice.
9:30. Yeah, 9:30, and then you wake up without an alarm. Would be ideally before sunrise, 6, something like that. 5:30 if I'm really dialed in. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so sun, sleep,
food.
Foundations, obviously, yes.
Sun, sleep, and food. If you haven't felt what it feels like to have a diet that is living, I'm a big fan of raw foods now and eating most of the foods, even with meat and eggs, these things that we know boost testosterone, give us all the incredible micronutrients that are required to synthesize our hormones as a guy. I found now that they are infinitely more bioavailable and digestible and higher in nutrients if you're eating them raw. So raw eggs is kind of like the one that everyone sees Rocky smashing down raw eggs and like everyone, it's a little bit gross. But when you cook things in general, the heat itself, when it reaches a certain point, the chemical bonds and the nutrients within the food are going to break apart, and then the nutrition of that food item, whatever it is going to lower. Like that's pretty easy to understand. I find that when I have raw foods, I can digest it better, I have more energy, and you need to eat less food because you are getting the nutrients your body requires. This is why your body makes you hungry, is saying we need nutrients.
Right.
And then whatever you take in, it's going to lower or increase the hunger based on what you put in and whether or not you are giving it the nutrients that it needs. This is why sometimes if we just have water with minerals in it, we're no longer as hungry because minerals are also in food. So we may think we're hungry, but your body's just signaling for nutrients. But if we can give it the nutrients without having a massive meal, water with minerals, shilajit or something like that, even some teas and herbs, then your body just, okay, we don't need to eat. And we're just going to chill out a bit more. So that's the kind of relationship that you can get into with these, with foods and nutrients in general. And that's how I now eat, is raw foods, eating less, and still obviously like supporting my body and being able to put on muscle and all the rest of it. And this has been, years of optimization. So I'm not saying this randomly or whatever. So take it from me to try it out at least. So food in general, eating clean, not eating garbage, not eating seed oils, cooking for yourself, not eating out. Like even if you get a grass-fed steak from a restaurant, it's not going to be, you're paying more and getting less, and you don't know what oils they're cooking in. It's like, it's better to just, for the majority of the time, cook and eat at home. Right.
Yeah. And so you're touching on it a little bit, but you obviously really care about the quality and the sourcing of your food too, because I can imagine a lot of people, you may get a lot of kickback, especially for the raw, but you're not like just going and buying like Tyson chicken nuggets and eating them raw, like.
Well, I don't know what they are, but yeah. I would imagine that they're not very good. Walmart chicken.
Oh, do you not know what Tyson chicken, is that what's it's called, right? Okay. I was like, I need to make sure. That's embarrassing for me. Like a very, very standard, typical like American in the frozen section, breaded like chicken nugget type thing.
Well, they're cooked.
Chicken. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not eating those.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like local butcher, rancher, quality, local farmer, as close to the source as you can.
Wonderful.
Is how I should eat everything. Even if you are cooking it. When I was cooking the majority of my food, that was what I was doing as well. So that's important.
Wonderful. Okay. So the nutrition, I'm loving all of these. You're just hitting on the foundations, which it's so true. I mean, all of these are are just great for everyone. And obviously, like, nutrition itself is a highly debated topic. You know, it's one of those topics that, like, sometimes I'm just like, this is just so, people like overcomplicate things. And yes, there's bio-individuality, and everyone has their own things that work for them and that don't work for them, given the state, their current health state. But like the generals of getting your food as close to home as possible and making sure that's as bioavailable as possible, whatever that means for the person, is like a beautiful way to like summarize in the simplest terms nutrition.
Yeah. Specifically, just to give an idea of what I'm personally eating.
Give us a favorite meal, like a go-to meal of yours.
Yeah, I mean, daily intake is I wake up and I have fruit. I'm having water with mineralized everything, shilajit, salt first. Then I'll usually have eggs, raw cheese, and fruit, some more fruit. Snacking on fruit all day. That's what I encourage everyone to do as well, because within fruit is actually some of the best water to hydrate with as well. Lunch, I don't usually have a big lunch these days, but lunch and dinner are going to be the same kind of structure of some carbohydrate, rice, potatoes, all the various kinds, and then a meat. That can be salmon, any type of fish that's around in the area, beef, bison, and some kind, ground beef, steaks, whatever, some extra eggs. And then I also eat a significant amount of plant food as well. I know that's not really the bro thing to do, but I find that I just feel better and I perform better. Sometimes I have just a whole thing of arugula, cucumber, tomato, a lot of fermented foods, sauerkraut, kefir, raw milk. I mentioned raw cheese before, but all raw dairy, if you can get your hands on that, or other high quality dairy. And that's pretty much it. You know,
nice.
like it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I was vegan for 6 years. And so going back to what I said at the beginning of the pod, how I look back on different phases of my life being like, I was trying my best, you know, but I wasn't quite there. So I was vegan and plant-based for a very long time. And I've slowly but surely over the last 2 years been incorporating, like started with bone broth and making my own bone broth and eggs, fish. And then I like just started eating again within the last, it was towards the end of 2023, bison and venison. And my mom's boyfriend actually goes on hunting trips and like shoots their own venison. I know, I was like, that's what I'm trying. And it was so great. I just feel, I mean, gosh, my energy is so stable. And I do cook it myself. But I just feel so stable and like so energized. And I feel like my hair has like just grown like 2 times as fast as it normally does, and everything is just feeling better. So, and another like very controversial, obviously, nutrition topic, and I feel like whenever I have posted about no longer being vegan, there's always like a community of people that just come right for me and attack me.
Did you build your audience when you were vegan?
So good question. I did. I mean, I was vegan at the time, but I never I never talked about it a lot, you know? I never was that, like, activist vegan and, like, pushed it on other people. So I would post my meals. Actually, my page started off as Madeline's Cookbook, and it was all recipes. And anyone who was following me probably picked up on, she's probably vegan.
There's no meat here.
Right, there's no meat in here. But I never explicitly was like, you know, everyone should be vegan. This is why. And so anyway, it worked for me until it didn't work for me, until like I got to a point where I was like, oh, this really hasn't been working for me, and it's just slowly been creeping up. No, I feel like a lot of people who like always come at me aren't followers of mine. It's like people who see the video because it goes on their For You page, you know, and I always think it's interesting when like Instagram, for example, is like, this would be funny if we put this like meat eating post in the vegan community. Like, let's see what happens.
Because they know
you
that people are going to comment and engage.
Right,
So they're going to get more revenue from that.
Right, exactly. So anyway, I feel really great though eating animal products again. For sure.
It's something that a lot of girls feel guilty about. Maybe their friends, like you said, like the vegan community is very whatever, but raw milk is one that I found that recommending that to girls, and it's like, it's not eating an animal as such, but it is the first way that they can get into reincorporating animal foods, and it's pretty inoffensive. Like, it's delicious, golden, creamy raw milk. And because it's raw, it has that bacteria inside it that is going to help the gut. And I know lots and lots of girls who have completely 180'd their health journey just introducing raw milk, and then they get, more used to the animal foods. They have more energy, and they're more open to trying eggs or meat from there.
Yeah. Yeah, eggs. I feel like bone broth too. I've seen like some women who are making that transition over. That feels sometimes easier, although it is like the bones from the animal. Everyone has their own, ways of like thinking about things, but at least for me, it was like, this is great because we're using all of the animal, like none of it is going to waste. And something about, just drinking a liquid rather than like eating the flesh was easier for me at first.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is delicious. This feels great. And so slowly but surely like added things back in. Okay. After nutrition, anything else come into mind? Sun, sleep, nutrition.
Sun, sleep, nutrition.
Everyone listening to this podcast who's been listening to the Peace, Love, Hormones podcast for a while is like, yes, you say this all the time, Maddie.
But that's the thing. It's like they are the core things.
They are.
And you don't need to do much else other than that.
Right.
Being outside, grounding.
Well, it's like it's the low-hanging fruit, It's like everyone wants like the supplement or the pill or like the easy fix, right? Like that diet and workout plan. And really it's like we have to go for the low-hanging fruit, which is just all these foundations that we're talking about.
Simple things. Health is simple. And we overcomplicate it, and companies have overcomplicated it because they can profit of the answer to that complication. And that's why it's like, go back to nature. What we were doing hundreds of years ago before we introduced all these modern things, all this tech. Not having blue light is a big one. Like, get more sunlight, but get off your phone and computer at night. Impedes your circadian rhythm and therefore all your hormones as well. Your cortisol can really impact how you do your life in general as a guy. One thing else that comes to mind is semen retention. I don't know if your audience has probably not heard of it before, but...
No, I have. Yeah. Oh, my audience? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, I naturally have. Yeah.
So there's semen retention, which is consciously choosing the way that you're going to use your sexual energy with your partner or in general, and kind of concentrating that you're not going to use that through porn and masturbation, which is like a terrible path for guys to go down.
Right.
And I know that it impacts a lot of relationships, that's like where the sexual energy is going rather than to your partner.
Yeah.
And so that's why it comes up for me, because it can take guys away from their true purpose and passion. It can deplete them and mess up their hormones. Their prolactin is super high if they're doing that all the time.
Yep.
They're unstable, they're emotional, and it can be all related to the amount of times that they're ejaculating unconsciously. So I like to say that obviously porn, masturbation, like stop all that. But then consciously have a discussion with your partner about, okay, let's just experiment with this thing and limit that frequency. We can still be intimate. We can still have that experience with each other. But when you do that, you allow yourself to access like a high level of energy as the guy and a high level of potential for leadership, and the closeness and intimacy that you can gain with your partner through that, doing it together, is really, really powerful as a guy.
For sure. And it's what is so cool about, especially like getting into the little like niches of health, is that something like this differs between men and women. Like it's really great for women to masturbate. And it's really great for like creativity and energy. And I even find like for me, after having sex, I'm super energized. I'm like, okay, now I want to go and like create, Yeah. Because that's what it is. Like, I mean, for both of us, it's a form of creation, right? But, and it's stress relieving, for both. But like for women, it's just great. Like, I feel like that's one of like the prescriptions I give a lot.
Guys will feel the same way if they take away that end point of physically ejaculating.
Yeah.
And they keep the energy within themselves and circulating within themselves, and that's how you feel similarly. And then it's good. You're not just like depleted and
Right. No, yeah. I mean, that's definitely not a new concept to us, and I feel like there's a lot of conflicting information out there, though, about, like, because some guys are like, all right, I'm just going to stop forever, like, until we're ready to have a baby. And then some guys are like, okay, I'll just do, like, maybe once a week or once a month, And so have you found in your research that there's, like, a nice, happy spot?
Yeah, I mean, the experience and energy you feel, it kind of does increase the deeper you get into it. I think like once every couple weeks
Okay.
is solid. Once a week, I think, is a little frequent.
Okay.
If you want to get to the higher levels of masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
it's something you have to figure out for yourself. And I didn't go from doing it regularly to several months at a time as I'm doing now,
Right.
overnight.
Yeah.
And it was
It
like
takes
been years
time.
of kind of expanding that and just testing it. Okay, let's see how it feels on those longer time periods.
All right. I hope everyone heard that, because in the society we have this mindset of 0 to 100. So you don't have to do it overnight. You don't have to do it in a week. You can, but obviously no pressure. You're not getting a medal. All right, let's keep going down the list.
Okay.
That was a good one, though. I mean, that's obviously never been spoken about on this podcast. I mean, we talk about cervical mucus. We talk about, actually like feeling if your cervix is open or closed. Again, all of this has to do with women's fertility and tracking our cycles and relating that back to our nutrition and to workouts and to our business, to our relationships, to our whole entire life. So that was something new. Thanks for including that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Another one that comes to mind is polyester clothing. I don't know if you've talked about that probably.
Yeah, I mean, not on a podcast, but on social media here and there, yeah.
Yeah, so this goes for both genders. Polyester and the synthetic materials that the majority of workout clothes and also a lot of just clothes in general are made of today are synthesized from oil, from petrol. And because of that, it's essentially plastic. And as we know, plastic is hormone disrupting. We should try not to use plastic water bottles and things. But the clothes that you're wearing is on your skin, and people don't really make the distinction because it's on the skin and we're not eating it.
Right.
But their skin is absorbable as well. It's permeable. So anything that you're putting on your skin, just like the aftershaves, perfumes, deodorants, soaps, shampoos, conditioners. I mean, that's an extra topic as well, is to cut out all that garbage that you're putting into your body, because that's going to affect your hormones as a guy. But polyester clothing particularly is something that I see even in the health space, is everyone's like wrapping themselves up in these really tight, and the tightness is also an issue, because if you're wearing tight polyester shorts to go to the gym, you're constricting your testicles. And if you constrict something, there's not going to be blood flow, there's not going to be lymph flow the way that it should be. And that machinery is just not going to operate as well. There's been studies where they put tight polyester boxes on dogs, and they were infertile in a few months. They weren't able to produce the sperm, and the sperm that they did have were all misshapen and sterile. So,
it's insane. I mean, especially with just working out in general, your pores are dilating and you're sweating and you're allowed to pass things in and out more. That membrane, so to say, for lack of better terms, is more permeable. And then people hop in a sauna too, where it's, you're getting all of those released as well. Like the heat releases those fumes.
Yep.
So that's definitely something that like I'm also actively working on. It's like one of those things that I just remember like multiple parts of my over the last few years. I'm just like, oh, that is bad too, because it's like, geez, you spend all this like money buying, and I don't buy a lot of clothes. I find like things that I just love, and I'm pretty like set on that. And so I was like that with workout clothes, because I was like, until they smell bad, I'm not going to get new ones. And I do have like half of them now are from a few brands that are, organic cotton, and like Pact is like a great one that does like, pretty cute stuff as well. That's organic cotton, and Mate the Label is another one. But anyway, it's just like tough, especially if you like want to kind of look cute. I found that there aren't a whole lot of options out there, or maybe they're like partially organic cotton and then like also a little bit of polyester, so you're like, is it even worth making the full switch then if it's also still half of the plastic? So that is definitely one that I just like, I mean, we have a sauna at home, so I go in the sauna naked. I don't wear any clothes in there at all, but I have like the last few months, I've really just been wearing, like, it's not the most comfortable, but also I try to work out outside. And when it was cold here, I was wearing like my wool, like sweaters, you know,
Yeah.
I just love like waking up and putting something cozy on. So like, again,
Hmm.
a lot of my clothes are natural fibers. So I would put that on and then I was working out in that. And then I was getting like more hot though, because you're wearing a wool sweater,
Yeah.
not, you know, a tank top or something. But it was nice because then I got to like sweat a little bit
But
more.
that's
And
good.
yeah, it
It's
was
better
good.
to be warm
Uh-huh.
in general for
Yeah.
health, full stop.
I will
Because
say, yeah. I mean, it's, well, yes, that's good, and not to cut you off, but like I'm getting used to it now, like to wear those type of fibers while working out. It's an interesting mindset shift after wearing like the tight Lulu,
yeah, yeah,
aloe, you know, like really cute little sets.
yeah,
Because also it's a mindset thing too of like, I feel like when I would put those on, it's like mindset, I'm working
gym.
out,
Yeah.
you know? Whereas with like my sweater, again, I'm getting there, but I'm still kind of like, are we sure we don't want to sit on the couch and read a book and drink some tea? You know, like, are you sure you want to work out in this right
Yeah.
now?
No, I get it. It's a big switch for people, and especially because it shapes the body and makes them feel better about themselves when they're working out. But I find I get the same kind of mental cue or ritualistic feeling from putting on a nice cotton hoodie and cotton hoodie and sweats. You know, you see boxers in the 80s and things, they've got their fully grey cotton sweats on, and then that's how they work out.
Right.
You know, it's the same kind of thing. And the thing is you have to separate your self-worth from things.
For sure.
And the healthier that you are, you're going to look better in a loose cotton t-shirt than a tight polyester Lululemon like ensemble that's affecting your hormones, and then your skin is different, and like you have more inflammation.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what's the choice here? You want the bit of clothing which is external to what you are as a person, or you're going to choose your long-term health, which inevitably makes you more attractive in the long run by choosing these natural fibers. And now, wearing natural fibers, I couldn't wear a polyester. Like it doesn't breathe as well as cotton fibers or whatever else you're wearing, wool. And it also smells worse if you're like it retains bacteria and it doesn't breathe. It's accumulating more sweat. It doesn't evaporate. Things like cotton t-shirts, linen stuff you can put on, and as long as the sweat dries and you leave it out in the sun, you don't necessarily need to wash it. Like it smells perfectly fine. It smells like it did before you worked out. So there's really a lot of benefits to just going back to what we were using a couple decades ago, really before the 80s, for all that tight lycra stuff.
Right.
Probably 60s as well. But yeah, the switch is well worth it. And as I said, as a guy, loose cotton shorts are infinitely better because you're going to allow your testicles to breathe, and you're going to get like a testosterone boost from just that alone.
Yep. That's a good tip. I'm, again, slowly but surely moving towards that. Are you fully, like, is your closet, when you look at your closet at home, is it completely natural?
Yeah.
Wonderful. How long did it take you to get there?
Well, I was wearing polyester 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. As I just didn't really connect the dots. But once I did, I was like, all right, and I donated it all.
Nice.
You know, maybe some of the external outerwear I left for a while, but then I was like, the thing with me is like once I figure something out in my head, I can't continue to have that dissonance because I'm like, what are you doing? You know that it's wrong. So that annoys me until I make the full switch. And polyester, as I said, it's like they literally perform better as clothes. So like, what are you holding on to? It doesn't really make sense to me. So donate them or burn them, because you're donating them to people and then you're poisoning those people, you know, whatever. Go to a thrift store. Go to the thrift, like the expense thing. Oh, I have to buy a whole new wardrobe. A thrift store, most of the stuff there is, always check the label, of course, but most of the stuff there, because it's older, is going to be cotton, leather, wool, linen. Even the stuff for, like, I have a full snowboarding outfit, which is wool pants, a waxed linen outside, wool gloves, and it works better.
That's amazing.
Like, there's snow all on the wool. Like, I never get caught, like, wool long johns as well. And wool is really cool because as you move, the friction of the wool creates negative ions, which is a grounding effect. While you're wearing it.
That's why you can wear wool socks and go ground if it's cold, for anyone who lives in cold place in the winter and wants to barefoot ground. We're big skiers and snowboarders in my family, and so that's something that, like, ever since I was literally, like 1 year old and on my parents' back in like a little backpack while they were skiing, like always wool underlayers, you know?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the great thing, is like the thing that's literally touching our bodies is wool, and it's so much warmer too than anything else that we wear under there, you know? So you kind of said something a few minutes ago that reminded me. I wanted to ask you, like, how do you find balance? Because that's something that because you referred to once you found out about polyester clothing, you're like, it's really hard for me to do something when I know it's not great for me, and I can definitely relate to that. I think something that I'm always working on is balance, and not feeling stressed about something, right? Because stress is the worst of all. And so how do I have like this fine balance of like, okay, I'm learning about all this stuff. Like I felt in school, I would like always call my mom. I was such a hypochondriac like a few years ago, and I'd call her and be like, I think I have this like rare disease that I definitely didn't have, you know, but I was learning about it, and I was like, I think this is what I have. Anyway, that's not great for anyone. We should definitely not get into these
stress.
like downward spirals and stressing about things. But like there were certain things, like for example, when I was learning about like toxic home cleaning products, I did actually just toss all of that out, you know, because I was
That's
like, I'm not going to wait until I'm like depleted of it. Although I do like if anyone's stressed about that, I'm like, you know, just you can wait until your bottle's out in a week or two and then get the new stuff. I threw it all out. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not even going to give myself the time to stress about this, right? Like, I'm just going to toss it out, and I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to buy all new stuff and, you know, make my own homemade. We do a lot of homemade stuff now. So, yeah, how do you find balance? Because obviously, too, I mean, you travel, you don't just, like, stay. I think a lot of people think that if you really care about your health, you have to just, like, stay home all the time and not do anything, you know? And it sounds like you, I mean, well, obviously, because you don't live here, you're traveling. But you like to travel and have these experiences and connect with other people. And we can't always have that finite control over our
well, it's very simple. And I say this all the time, is control what you can control. And then don't worry about what you can't control. Full stop. Because taking responsibility over what you put in your mouth, what you put on your body, what you do day to day, whether you're inside or outside, you know, what kind of thoughts that you have, and trying to control and mitigate those, that is all under your control. And so therefore dedicate your mental energy to not worrying, but intentionally doing something about those things. And then anything that you can't do anything about, the EMF in the area, the cleaning products of the hotel you're in, whatever else like that, don't worry about it. It's like it's purely mental. It's purely mental, and the stress and the need for balance and like a relaxation from the worrying about things only occurs because you're worrying about things that you can't do anything about. So the worry itself is just purely a silly thing to do. So just stop doing that. Focus whatever that wasted mental energy would have been on, like I travel with a shower filter. So that's something that I can control, that I then improves my health as I'm traveling, and, you know, I can control it. So therefore do that. I travel with linen bed sheets, so I can put my own down if the hotel or wherever I'm staying has just polyester bed sheets. All my clothes are cotton and things like that. So there's a lot that you can do. Whole Foods in most places that I travel have glass spring water, so I'll do that. And really, there's no element of worrying about things, because if I can do something about it, I'm going to. And if I can't do something about it, then it doesn't matter. I'm a resilient organism. I care about my health and charge my health in other ways so that I can take these stresses when and where I need to.
Right. And that's the goal, at least for me, right? Like the goal with everything that I do is for health and longevity, so that I can go do these things and go travel and not come back brutally sick because I, you know, ate at a restaurant and had seed oils. And like the goal is to make your body more resilient. So you're able to do something here and there, and your body's not so fragile that then you get sick and it starts to crumble and break down. And, you know, I started from there. Actually, my health journey was one of, I got into this because in my younger years, I had a bunch of different diagnoses, but anorexia and depression, and I was so overly medicated for like so much of my younger childhood years, and hospitalized, and, you know, all of these things. And then, I mean, if I were to do a lot of the things that I do now for my health, I could not have just gone 0 to 100 back then. I was so fragile. Like my body was in such a delicate state. It needed to be like slowly but surely build up. And now, I mean, I can travel and like do all of these things, and we definitely do not just sit at home all day long. Like we have very social and active lives.
Yeah.
But our bodies and our minds are resilient enough to do that. And we always laugh too because we turn our Wi-Fi router off at night. But like,
yeah, good call.
you know, we live in a neighborhood as well, and so sometimes we'll pick up on other people's Wi-Fi. So it's like, you know, again, we laugh about a lot of stuff, and you just have to have like humor at the end of the day, and you know, take care of yourself.
Apartment buildings are the worst for that. Those ones.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like 50 networks around. Cool.
Right, and the apartment usually has its own Wi-Fi that is so powerful enough it powers the whole building and all the recreation rooms. Yeah. We actually, that's another funny story, is when we were in Braxton's condo beforehand, they did have that big Wi-Fi, and we realized like for a handful of weeks, perhaps even like a month or two, our Wi-Fi was just not working, like our actual unit's Wi-Fi, but our laptops, computers, phones, everything was still picking up on Wi-Fi from the building. And we're like, or no, that's what it was. Sometimes some mornings we would forget to turn the Wi-Fi back on. That's what it was. But it didn't matter at the end of the day when we would realize, because maybe like the TV wouldn't work because we're like, oh, it's because we were picking up on the whole system the whole day. So anyway, yeah, you just got to do what makes you feel great.
Yeah, laugh about it and have fun.
Yep.
That's going to be the healthiest thing to do at the end of the day.
So I would love to know for inspiration for the guys, like, so how does your morning look, generally speaking, and how does your evening look, to give some inspiration for how people can start to take care of themselves?
So my morning is, as I said, I'm waking up without an alarm, usually before the sun, and heading outside to look at the sunrise. And barefoot, I'll try and find, if I am traveling, I'll walk to a park. If I'm at an Airbnb that has some grass, I'll go there and I'll just look at the sun and think about things, think about life, and do whatever kind of intuitive movement feels good to me in the moment. Sometimes it's push-ups, pull-ups if there's something to hold on to, or even just breathing rapidly, breath of fire, over and over. And you do a couple minutes of that and you're activated, you're ready to go. You're grounding, sun, boom. And something like that for 10 minutes is all you need to do. Like, oh, I'm too busy to take care of my health. No.
It's so easy.
So I try and do that wherever I am. Again, if I can't do it, I'm not going to stress about it. Then I'll get something nutrition-wise into my body. I'll have the fruit, the water, eggs usually, and then get into some work. I usually work out in the early afternoon, like my proper session. But early morning would be like a 20-minute cardio if I do that. Sometimes I don't, and I just go into work. So that'll be taking my laptop to a cafe or just getting an espresso and then bring it home. I usually work for 2.5 hours, something like that, depending on what I have. And that's not every day, but that's the usual day. So I'll do writing, I'll answer DMs, I'll answer my emails. Whatever else is on the agenda for completing the tasks for any of my businesses. And then I'll try and do that outside as well. If I'm in direct sunlight, that's even better. But even just being outside here rather than in an office or like with the doors closed, even if you're inside, opening a window as much as possible is going to mean that natural sunlight is coming in. All of these little things, which might seem like little things, they add up. And it can mean the difference between you sitting at your computer for an hour and a half checking emails with the window open. It's going to be an hour and a half of those light photons coming in and telling your brain and signaling your brain what to do. So they count. And so I try to incorporate all these things in what I'm doing daily and consistently. Then around lunchtime, I'll have a bit more to eat and hit the gym or whatever other fitness session outside that I can. Usually if I'm at home, I'm at the beach or like over the road from the beach. So I'll start my day with a swim if I can in the ocean. Like starting and finishing my day with that, if you can, is really good. Any natural body of water. I'll work out, lay out in the sun for a while and get my tan on, and then have another meal of some kind. Usually post-workout, raw milk, raw honey. something like that, raw egg yolks. And that's like a post-workout shake, some more fruit, and it's not like a big heavy meal. And then I'll get into another work session after that, and that'll be another couple hours. Now we're early evening, and I'll start to prepare dinner. Usually I'll have like a large salad of arugula, cucumber, those things I mentioned before. Maybe like an hour before the main meal of meat and carbohydrates. And then the rest of the evening is kind of chill. Usually if I'm traveling, I'm in an Airbnb with friends, so just shoot the shit or do whatever is happening around, go for a walk, things like that, then have the main meal. And the rest of my night is reading, creative work, normal work if I have to do it, with the blue light blockers on once the sun goes down. Obviously watching sunset is an important part of that. I'll always stop what I'm doing and go catch the last sunset rays, of course. And then into stretching, brew some teas, some incense, and just kind of chill out for the rest of the day before hopping into bed 9:30, something like that.
I love that you drink tea. I see that on Twitter, or I guess X it's called, excuse me. But that you drink tea, which is amazing because being an herbalist, I think so many people who obviously like aren't close, like in my life, think that herbalism is just for women, and I'm like, it's not at all. And there's so many different ways to consume herbal medicine as well. So on that note, my final question for you, and then you can say anything else you'd like, but do you have any favorite supplements that are like a daily must for you? Because I'm assuming if you're anything like me, you probably have various things depending on where, like, what you're kind of working through in your life, that you fluctuate through different types of supplements. But like, are there any staple herbs or supplements that are a daily must for you? Yeah,
so I love rosemary. Rosemary is one of my favorites. If I have fresh rosemary on hand, then I'm chewing it just like a gum, just the leaves. It's actually a very potent nootropic, so I have it with my espresso. Yeah, rosemary water. I saw you made that the other day.
Yeah, rosemary water, put in my hair, on my face. Yeah, it's just amazing. Love rosemary.
It's an incredible plant. Supplements that I take most days, I obviously have a supplement company, Sol Sups. So I take.
We've had them before, yeah.
Yeah, great. I take all those, not all of them every day, but the ones I do take every day are the salts, which is a natural electrolyte mix.
We had the salts, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty standard one. In all of my waters, sometimes on my food as well, to rehydrate. I'll take the glycine before bed each night, usually with a chamomile tea. Chamomile I really love as well, as a natural sedative. Natural, like if you have trouble sleeping, brew a strong potion of chamomile tea before bed.
I have an herbal tincture for sleep, and chamomile is one of the 5 herbs in there.
I like Tulsi. Tulsi is the universal healer. It's actually worshipped as a god in India. So I figured that's probably pretty good. I'll have a cup of Tulsi tea.
You're like, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah. There must be something behind that. Tulsi tea. I like a liver blend. Liver is obviously the seat of detoxification in the body. Detoxification and getting out all the garbage from the modern world is kind of the main mechanism through which we can prevent a lot of disease. So taking herbs that support that is really important and powerful, especially if you've never done it before. You have things like skin problems. So in that one, there is burdock root. Burdock.
I love burdock. That's in my liver blend, my liver tincture.
Yeah, exactly. So
one
probably
of the mains,
dandelion is in there, licorice.
Wonderful.
Blanking on the others, but having liver tea throughout the day is great. I mean, there's a herb for every ailment, like literally, and it's all fairly easy to look up. Like, what do I have? What herb for this thing? And then it's like, okay, so make a tea with that. Apply it as a poultice, capsules, whatever it is. That is the natural, God-given pharmacy that we have, and no one is tapping into that potential really. Even people that like are in good health, they don't realize what they could optimize. It's just like, try this, try that. I like ginger, turmeric.
I love ginger. Yeah.
As a tea if you're ill. Maca root ashwagandha sometimes. Shilajit is less of a herb, but
Yeah.
a mineral resin that you get out of the ground, kind of tastes like dirt. But
No,
that's
yeah,
really
I
good.
love. You said it a few times throughout the episode, and at first I was like, in my head, I was like, was he saying Shilajit?
Yeah.
I love how we're
Shilajit,
pronouncing
Shilajit, yeah.
Shilajit. That's an American. Shilajit, you mean? That's
Yeah.
funny. Amazing stack. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different herbs to choose from too, you know, and I like to just cycle them and really like sit with a few different herbs every single week and like try them in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah,
And
Blue
just
Lotus.
really,
That's a really cool one as well. If you
Yeah.
want to enhance your spiritual capabilities, make
Yeah.
a Blue Lotus tea and meditate.
Wonderful. Yeah, my friend, I haven't tried them just because I don't smoke, but she does make Blue Lotus, like joints, for people to.
Yeah, if you're a
smoke.
smoker, tobacco is not the only herb that you can smoke.
No,
you can
it's
smoke,
not.
and you get
No
some
one
of the
knows that,
benefits
yeah.
from it. You know, calm down with chamomile. If
Yeah.
the oral fixation is what makes a lot of people addicted to smoking. So if you just use herbal cigarettes and make your own blend of whatever it is, there's even herbs that help with the damage that smoking can cause
Right.
to the
Yeah.
lungs. So you smoke that when you do smoke with other things, even mixed with the tobacco, if you still want a bit of that. That's like a good way to transition from smoking cigarettes to still smoking,
Absolutely.
but, you know,
Yeah.
something healthier.
Yeah. I'm getting my dad there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lovely episode. Thank you so much. I used to always tell people like, tell everyone where they can find you, and everyone's just like, I'm not writing this down. So I'll include all of your social media links and YouTube and podcast,
Great.
the whole shebang in the description of this podcast episode for anyone interested in going and following Sol Brah. And any final closing thoughts, remarks, questions, concerns?
Go get in the sun,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a great
Here's
day,
to
and thank
that.
you for listening, and thank you for having me, Maddie.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone who tuned in. If you liked this episode, please share it with a loved one or with your outer community. And until next time, peace, love, hormones.